There, at one point, Professor Joshua Lederberg walked into the lab and looked around and to see what the mass spectrometer is doing. And in the course of discussion, he asked me whether I think mass spectrometry could be used to detect and identify organic compounds on Mars, on the surface of Mars. And I thought a second and then said, yes, I think so, it can be done. But that was just at the spur of the moment. And so later on, when I got back to MIT, I was thinking about how to do it. And we started to look at organic material in meteorites using the mass spectrometer. And it worked out quite well. And then we looked at whether we could identify free amino acids and nucleotide bases and sugars and things like this, and that's what biological things in an artificial soil mixture or first principle. And so that worked out. And at that time, NASA was working on the Voyager project, which was the first Voyager, not the one which then now went into interplanetary space,
right,
but which was supposed to be a lander on Mars, and at which Professor Lederberg had an planned experiment because he is a biologist. And so he wanted to send a microscope there to look for biological cells and things like this. And however, that mission, and so Sandy Lipsky, a professor at Yale University who was an expert in gas chromatography, we together put in a proposal for a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer to send on Voyager. But Voyager then became so complex and so expensive that it was cancelled. So therefore, I think, and at the same time, I was involved in the preparations for the Apollo project, and I had a grant to analyze the lunar material which the astronauts brought back for organic materials. So that way, NASA knew about my existence, so to say, and potential interest. So when Voyager was cancelled and Viking was proposed, NASA asked again for proposals, and I put one in again to do GCMS. And Sandy Lipsky was not interested anymore. So it was on my own. And that was in November of 1969 or 1968, I don't remember. And so then, since I in my laboratory had developed not only the combination of the gas chromatograph with the mass spectrometer, but we all had written all the software required for the acquisition of the data from the instruments and the processing of the data and then the interpretation of the data. I had really no competition in that way, and so NASA appointed me as a PI, and then NASA put together the team